So Shri Kirti Vardhan Singh, Honorable Minister of Environment and the Minister of State for External Affairs in India, welcome. India is a vulnerable country, and at the same time, it is projected to be a global leader on climate change. I would request you to please share your insights as to the approach taken by India with respect to the topic. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, and namaskar to everyone. At the outset, you have given me 2 minutes, but I'm afraid I might exceed that time limit, so please bear with me. I have prepared a brief statement on what our country is doing and regarding climate change. So I'll start with that, and I hope that answers most of the questions that one would be having in mind. So at the outset, let me welcome Mr. Joshua Wycliffe, Chief of Operations of International Solar Alliance, Ms. Francois Jacobs, United Nations Resident Coordinator in the Republic of Armenia, and Dr. Victoria Panova, Head of the BRICS Expert Council and Vice Rector at the HSE University. So I'm delighted to be here today to address such a distinguished gathering, and I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the government of Armenia and the ORF Foundation for organizing this dialogue. I bring warm greetings from India, a country deeply committed to environment stability and sustainability under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. We all realize that the climate crisis is no longer a distant warning anymore, and it is time to realize that it's a grim existential threat which is already affecting populations worldwide, from floods stretching from the Middle East to China to destructive heat waves across Southern Asia and wildfires ravaging the Western world. The planet is clearly in distress, and we need to do something about it. As a country facing the wrath of natural disasters, we are painfully witnessing that climate change is no longer just an environmental issue, but it has rapidly evolved into a major threat to global security, economic stability, and to the peace and survival of our civilization. Countries of the global south, such as Darfur or Sudan, where water resources have become scarce, and the low-lying islands of the Indian and Pacific Oceans, which are particularly vulnerable to the looming climate crisis, and countries like Kiribati, Solomon Islands, Tuvalu, and the Maldives, which face an existential threat as the rising sea levels threaten to submerge their lands. For them, climate change is a matter of life and death. It threatens their very existence as countries and as civilizations. These nations, which are the front line of climate crisis, require urgent international support to ensure their survival. While climate change is really the primary cause of conflict, it can act as a risk multiplier, exacerbating underlying vulnerabilities and compounding existing grievances. The effects of climate change, together with increased competition for natural resources, may, under certain circumstances, have the potential to cause social, economic, or political instability. We stand firm in dealing with these pressing concerns of urgent importance. Under the able leadership of Prime Minister Modi, we are determined to not only take resolute steps on the climate mitigation front, but also work towards climate justice. As much as we are committed to the idea that fighting climate change is a collective global responsibility, we also feel that it must be in tune with the principles of common but differentiated responsibilities. In other words, the developed world should not and must not shy away from its duty of doing more in this endeavor and help the developing nations to keep the commitments towards poverty eradication while at the same time to achieving their nationally determined contributions. In this regard, I'd like to reiterate our government's position on climate matters and issues concerning that. Firstly, we agree that climate change is a pivotal challenge of our times. We concur that the international community that global warming is anthropogenic and centuries of incessant and insatiable quest for industrialization and modernization has landed us in this situation, where unexpected weather patterns, unforeseen changes in glacial ice, rising sea levels, and frequent natural disasters have become the new normal in the world today. As members of the Global South, we share concerns about erosion of developed world's commitments on climate finance, technology transfer, and capacity building. We stand firm that transformative mitigation policies and technology for adaptation are a necessity, and that the developed world has a responsibility to share technological know-how and resources in dealing with these challenges. Under the leadership of our Prime Minister, India has embarked on a transformative journey towards sustainable development through comprehensive and visionary climate initiatives. India recognizes the urgency of climate crisis and the immense responsibility it bears as a developing country with a large population and complex environmental challenges. Our Prime Minister's Panchamath initiative, announced at the COP26 summit at Glasgow, embodies India's climate action blueprint. This strategy includes our five-fold commitment towards, number one, reaching net zero emissions by 2070, reducing the total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030, generating 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030, and increasing the share of non-fossil fuel energy capacity to 50%, and lastly, reducing our carbon intensity by 45% by 2030. Our ambitious goals are complemented by other transformative initiatives, such as the International Solar Alliance, which was co-founded by India and dedicated to expanding the use of solar energy globally. We stand committed to moving away from non-renewable to sustainable, renewable, and clean sources of energy by 2030. Another example of our steadfast commitment to fighting climate change is our Mission Life, which basically means lifestyle for environment and promotes a sustainable way of life rooted in mindful consumption and with environment. While we may be used to having Plan A and Plan B, there is no Planet B. We only have planet Earth, and so we must remember that we hold this planet merely as trustees for our future generations. This profound statement underscores the reality that climate action is not a choice, but it's an urgent necessity. More importantly, it is a moral responsibility towards our future generations. This is a principle India as a Vishwabandhu follows, and we have to work as one family, one community of nations in dealing with these transnational challenges which transcend national boundaries and affect populations across the globe. I hope that during our deliberations today, we will have open, candid, and frank discussions on whether multilateral institutions such as the UNFCCC and the COP meetings can strengthen their mechanisms to address the cross-cutting impact of climate change. And in our discussions today, we must examine whether our existing multilateral governance architectures are agile enough to effectively grapple with the evolving climate-induced security challenges. Our collective goal should be to ensure that global climate governance mechanisms evolve to not only mitigate climate impacts, but also adapt to them in real life. Green financing, technology transfers, and knowledge sharing must be at the core of our cooperative efforts. We should seize this opportunity to forge strong partnerships that will not only enhance our capacity to mitigate climate change, but also build a more resilient and a sustainable world. With that, I wish you all a very successful, enriching, and productive dialogue ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Singh, and also for highlighting the importance of means of implementation, where we do see a lot of erosion from the global north. Also, thank you for highlighting the importance of adaptation, which is indeed very important when it comes to climate security.